Coming up on Top 30, an earthquake devastates Mexico. Hundreds are dead. A new attempt to repeal the Affordable Care Act, and there's a new home run record. It's all the news you need to know. This is Top 30. Here is the latest on that deadly earthquake that struck Mexico on Tuesday. At least 216 people have died. One of the many buildings that collapsed was a school. 25 bodies, all but 4 of them children, have been recovered from inside that school, according to the Federal Education Department. 11 people there have been rescued. About 30 others who were inside are still missing. Anxious families wait outside the school, looking through handwritten lists with the names of the rescued and the dead. A Mexican newspaper, El Universal, reported that one trapped girl, Fatima, sent a WhatsApp message saying, quote, "I'm fine. I'm with 4 other trapped children. Help us. We're thirsty." When someone is rescued, applause is heard to break out. When another body is recovered, there are tears. The 7.1 magnitude earthquake struck less than 2 weeks after another that killed 90 people in Mexico. Here are some more scenes from Mexico on Tuesday night. We'll have information on what you can do to help available on the Top 30 Facebook page.
The latest attempt to repeal Obamacare is a combination of efforts from Senators Bill Cassidy, Lindsey Graham, and Dean Heller, and it's poised to turn healthcare over to states to deal with. The Cassidy-Graham bill, as it's been dubbed, is strikingly similar to the last Senate repeal bill, which was presented by the Republican congressional leadership and couldn't get passed. The Washington Post reported that the repeal would allow states to opt out of many Affordable Care Act regulations, as well as take the money typically used to fund Medicaid and subsidies for states to instead develop whatever healthcare system states want. Additionally, the Congressional Budget Office announced it's working to release a review of the Cassidy-Graham bill. However, their assessment won't come out before the vote, but it is believed millions could lose coverage. Flawed or not, the Senate basically has a week and a half to push through the repeal bill, or it's over for Republicans. After passing the repeal in the House in May, there were a series of failed attempts by the Senate to accomplish the same thing, and each one was projected to leave millions without coverage.
This week, Equifax was hit with the biggest lawsuit so far in its response to its recent hack. The complaint was filed in Massachusetts by the state attorney general, and it alleges, quote, Equifax knew about the vulnerabilities in its system for months, but utterly failed to keep the personal information of nearly 3 million Massachusetts residents safe. That mention of the company knowing for months refers to the news this week that Equifax was also hacked earlier in the year. According to Bloomberg, a breach in March may have involved some of the same intruders as the one in July that leaked the information of 143 million Americans. The news could also complicate an investigation of the Equifax executives who sold nearly $2 million in stock days after the company learned of the latest breach. Experts are now warning that the hacked information could be used to file fraudulent tax returns and steal refund checks, and they recommend organizing your documents and filing your return as early as possible.
This is what's trending. Amazon customers were a little confused on Tuesday when they got emails saying someone bought them a gift off their baby registry. Problem is, they weren't pregnant. The email looked like this, and Amazon has apologized, saying they were sent out by mistake. Chip and Joanna Gaines launched their new product line at Target on November 5th, and we've got a sneak peek of what you can expect. There will be more than 300 items, with most costing less than $30. Some fans are calling the couple hypocritical because their Christian beliefs on marriage and gay rights don't exactly line up with Target's liberal stance. And finally, 3 cops in Michigan are going viral after they recorded themselves lip-syncing to the Backstreet Boys hit, I Want It That Way. Check this out. The Backstreet Boys also took notice, tweeting out, Port Huron police going above and beyond the call of duty.
Major League Baseball set a new home run record. Alex Gordon of the Kansas City Royals blasted the league's 5,694th homer of the season in the 8th inning on Tuesday, breaking the previous mark, which was set in 2000. Giancarlo Stanton has been the poster boy of home runs this year, and he's on pace to hit more than 60, something that also hasn't been done since 2000. An investigation done by The Ringer found that baseballs have become smaller and these seams lower, meaning less air resistance when the ball flies through the air. But Major League Baseball has denied any changes. And don't let the noise of that controversy distract from what's just happened, because whichever way you cut it, that really is a remarkable achievement.
It seems like kids grow up so fast, but when it comes to adulting, teens are growing up slowly. According to a 40-year-long study, teens aren't embracing the responsibilities of adulthood as quickly as those from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Jean Twenge, lead author on the study, says, quote, "The whole developmental pathway has slowed down," noting that an 18-year-old today lives more like a 15-year-old from previous decades. They say 8th and 9th graders are less likely to drink alcohol, have sex, go out without their parents, or work for pay. 8 million teens were surveyed throughout the study, and it resulted in some of the surprising stats you're seeing here. Things like helicopter parenting and spending more time on the internet instead of going out could be attributing. So good that kids aren't partying young, but the fact of the matter is teens need to grow up. We'll be back with more Top 30.
Okay, let's go to the New York Stock Exchange for our Fox Business Minute with your friend and mine. Here's Nicole Petalides.
In business news, start your morning off with hair of the dog, without the alcohol, that is. Starbucks is now offering whiskey coffee. It's brewed from coffee beans aged in a whiskey barrel. Right now, it's available in a handful of Starbucks Reserve bars. And Amazon is working on a pair of Alexa-powered smart glasses. To head up the project, the e-commerce giant has hired some of the same people that worked on Google's Glass. That's according to the Financial Times. The device will connect to a smartphone wirelessly and has a bone conduction audio system instead of headphones. They are expected to ship later this year. And need a vacation? Well, lower prices, temperatures, and smaller crowds are prompting more people to hit the road. That's according to AAA. They say nearly 30% of Americans are planning to take a vacation this autumn. The top destinations are Florida, Italy, and California.
Money Magazine is out with its annual list of best cities, and if you've got some hometown pride, listen up. Given the trend right now to stretch your dollar, the list was based largely on affordability, cities where you can get the most bang for your buck. Journalists also consider things like jobs, schools, things to do, crime rate, the housing market, weather, typical things that when they're good, life is good. Okay, now the list. There are 100 cities, but since our show is only 30 minutes, let's skip to the top 5. From the bottom up, number 5, Olive Branch, Mississippi. Number 4, Franklin, Tennessee. Number 3, Monterey Park, California. Number 2, Allen, Texas. And number 1, to all of you in Fishers, Indiana, congratulations. You live in the best city in America. The Indianapolis suburb was once home to former NBA star Reggie Miller and has a reputation of being big on fishing, go figure, and very affordable. So hey, if you're not finding Easy Street in your neighborhood, now you know where to go. The most valuable team in the NFL is also the most valuable team in the world. The Dallas Cowboys are worth $4.8 billion, according to Forbes magazine. That's up 14% from just a year ago. Much of last year's revenue comes from merchandise sales and revenue generated from the Cowboys' new practice facility called the Star. It opened in August of 2016 and features everything from the Cowboys' practice facility to a shopping center and hotel. While the Cowboys may be the most valuable team, other owners aren't hurting for cash. The average NFL franchise is worth $2.5 billion, proving pigskin equals profits.
Stranger Things didn't take home the Emmy, but they do win for the nicest legal letter. Riding on the coattails of the popular Netflix series, a pop-up bar in Chicago, aptly named the Upside Down, opened earlier this summer, and then Netflix shut them down in the nicest possible way. The cease and desist letter read, "Look, I don't want you to think I'm a total wasteoid, and I love how much you love the show. Just wait until you see season 2. but unless I'm living in the Upside Down, I don't think we did a deal with you for this pop-up. The letter concluded by politely asking they reach out for permission next time, and they're even letting the pop-up stay in business until their scheduled end date at the end of September. Nice people, a nice letter, and a smart plug for season 2 buried in there as well. They deserve their success. There's about $771 trillion worth of gold in the ocean, but good luck getting it. The National Ocean Service estimates 20 tons of gold is out there, but it's so diluted there is no cost-effective way to retrieve it. In fact, researchers estimate that for every 2 liters of ocean water, there is just 26 billionth of a gram of gold. So if you think of your normal 2 liter of soda, there would be this many grams of gold, and that is a lot of zeros. There is actually undissolved gold on the sea floor, but you'll have to go about 2 miles underwater to reach it, and once you do, it's encased in rock, making it even harder to access. It is actually easier to become rich and buy gold than it is to go 2 miles underwater and find gold.
In today's hometown stories from Fox 11 Los Angeles, 17-year-old Riley McCoy from Dana Point, California, suffers from an extremely rare skin condition called xeroderma pigmentosa, or XP. Exposing her skin to the sun gives her third-degree burns, meaning anytime she steps outside, she needs to be covered in protective gear. Despite her condition, her peers at Dana Hills High School have rallied around her. Riley was just elected homecoming queen. Riley was overcome with joy. She told Fox 11 LA, "I felt very surprised and I was nervous I wasn't going to get it, but now I got it and I'm super happy." In our second story, few things come between this young girl and her dog in Niagara Falls, New York. 17-month-old Jenny and her white Great Dane Echo have been inseparable since she was born. Jenny's mom rescued Echo when she was a puppy. Echo's partially deaf and blind and was severely neglected by her previous owner. But now Echo is doing great. Jenny and Echo's sweet photos together have gone viral. For our final story from Fox 7 Austin, 12-year-old Cassidy Gill was honored by the Bastrop County Sheriff's Office with a Civilian Life-Saving Award. Her father had a seizure and lost consciousness as he was driving both her and her 4-year-old sister. Cassidy was able to stop the car in a nearby field and call 911. She told Fox 7 Austin, "It makes me feel inside that I've done something right and that if I keep continuing, more good things in the world will happen." More Top 30 after this.
It won't be long before robots can prepare your taxes, but will they replace your accountant? A study conducted by Oxford University found that the chances of accounting becoming automated were over 95%. Experts say it is the kind of job that robots are well suited for. That's because people are more comfortable with the idea of automating jobs where mistakes cost less. For example, a mistake by an accounting robot is less risky than one by a self-driving car. But human accountants say they are not worried. A report by the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants says finance will still need human beings to explain strategy, defend investments, and manage expectations. Although many accountants are already quite like robots, but with much less charisma.
There's no denying that Johnny Depp's Kentucky farmhouse is the sort of place made for a star, but at the steep price of $3 million, it failed to sell at auction. Yahoo reported that the bids, which were all deemed too low to be viable, went as high as $1.4 million. The 41-acre horse farm, which includes 7 bedrooms, a 4-car garage, a 1-bedroom guest house, 3 barns, and a pool, initially hit the market last December. Previously, Depp sold the estate in 2001 for $1 million, but then bought it back in 2005 for $2 million. According to Kentucky.com, Depp's manager, Edward White, said his client is unloading the property because he rarely comes to Kentucky. But if you do, now it's up for grabs. This is your Top 30 Health Roundup. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has revealed that 235 people in 26 states got sick with salmonella from papayas out of Mexico. 78 people were hospitalized and 2 have died. The papayas were imported from 4 different farms, and for now the CDC warns, quote, that consumers not eat, restaurants not serve, and retailers not sell recalled Meridol papayas. The FDA has given the green light to an app that can help treat people with substance use disorders. Using cognitive behavioral therapy, the Reset device has been cleared for outpatient treatment of alcohol, marijuana, cocaine, and stimulant addiction. It's an incentive-based system that rewards patients for staying clean and adhering to the recommended treatment. Fall is right around the corner, and with it comes pumpkin spice everything. There's a scientific reason why it's so popular. Catherine Franson, a professor at Longwood University in Virginia, calls it a fantastic example of the psychology of consumer behavior and fads. She says the popular spice combination used in most pumpkin spice products incites a nostalgic emotional response in our brains, making it pleasing and desirable. And an interesting fact for all you pumpkin spice lovers, the Institute of Food Technologists says pumpkin isn't even an ingredient in most pumpkin spice blends. More Top 30 after this.
It's not looking good for the Winter Olympics. The 2018 Winter Games are being held by South Korea, but QZ.com reports they've sold just 20% of the tickets, if that. The Olympics kick off in February, leaving less than 5 months to drum up interest for the Games. Poor ticket sales can be blamed on a few things. For instance, South Korea isn't exactly known for their winter sports, but more importantly, their host city of Pyeongchang is just 50 miles from the North Korean border, which the US president recently threatened to totally destroy. A Winter Olympics is fine. A nuclear Winter Olympics is fractionally less appealing.
The pure heart of a child may have just changed a guy's life. Colby and Alyssa Hacker's 18-month-old son, Owen, was friendly to a stranger in Target who needed it. Alyssa posted the story on Facebook this weekend, explaining that while trying to decide between 3 dinosaurs at an Arkansas Target store, an older gentleman walked by and her son blurted out an enthusiastic, "Hi." She says he turned around and said, "Hey, sweet boy," and played dinosaurs with her son for a bit before pulling a $20 bill out of his wallet and tucking it into Owen's shirt pocket. "I just lost my 2-year-old grandson last week," he said. "You take this money and buy this boy all 3 dinosaurs." Alyssa says he rubbed Owen's back, wiped his tears away, and walked off. You just never know who needs a simple hello.
Better make plans because it's the end of the world as we know it. At least according to careful calculations by Christian numerologists, the latest iteration of the end of the world will be Saturday, September the 23rd. According to the Sun newspaper, all this has been predicted by Christian numerologist David Mead, who believes that a hidden planet called Nibiru will pass by Earth and set off a series of natural disasters. NASA senior space scientist David Morrison debunked this claim in 2012, saying Nibiru is not real and is not a danger. Fox 11 reported that Mead believes a combination of Bible verses and recent events such as the solar eclipse and Hurricane Harvey are signs that the end is near. So you can either believe scientists who use data, or you can believe a man who picks some numbers out of the Bible. It is totally your call. But if you pick numbers, man, you're wrong. The number 3 tennis player in the world, Britain's Andy Murray, has published an op-ed for the BBC where he takes on sexism in sports. The self-identifying feminist said, "I have been asked about women's equality, and I would find it hard to look any of the top female tennis players in the eye if I did not speak my mind." Murray put his money where his mouth is when he hired former world number 1 Amelie Mauresmo as his coach. Murray has a record of calling out sexism in sports, saying, "Mauresmo wasn't always treated the same as men in similar jobs, and so I felt I had to speak out about that." Murray's piece also talks about his experience growing up and playing against females and how it positively shaped his perception of women in sports. And if you like this sort of thing, check out the film Battle of the Sexes. I have seen it, and it's excellent.
A cyclist has shattered the record for biking around the world. Mark Beaumont of Scotland set out to pedal around the world in 80 days. He was inspired by the Jules Verne novel of the same name, but finished the trip early. He arrived in Paris this week after biking for 78 days, 14 hours, and 40 minutes. That's the city where Beaumont started his journey back in July. He cycled more than 18,000 miles. He went east across Europe to Mongolia, then over to China and Australia before biking through the US and back across Western Europe. To do it, Beaumont needed a support team that included a navigator, a mechanic, and a nutritionist. He burned through about 9,000 calories a day to keep him going, including spaghetti and smoothies. Beaumont told the BBC, quote, "This has been without doubt the most punishing challenge I have ever put my body and mind through." He says he's looking forward to walking his dog and sleeping in a normal bed. We can't blame him.
So that is it for today's Top 30. Here are some other stories coming up that are worth knowing about. One high school wants to get rid of grades. We'll tell you why. This luxury submarine could be yours as long as you're a billionaire. And the photo that you're seeing right now isn't a wedding party. 6 women wore the same dress. These stories and more coming up on the next Top 30.